Right now, there is money sitting with your name on it, and most pensioners have no idea it exists. What if I told you that thousands of households are quietly losing hundreds of pounds every single month, not because they don't qualify, but because nobody ever told them the rules changed? This is not just another benefits update. This is something the system doesn't go out of its way to explain to you. And right now, while you're watching this, that money is still sitting there, unclaimed. Welcome back to the channel. Every week, I break down exactly what's happening with your pension, your benefits, and your money, in plain, honest English, so you never miss what you're owed. Let's start with what's actually happening, because this isn't a small technical adjustment buried in some government spreadsheet. As of this July, pension credit payments have gone up. Not by a token amount, but by 4.8%, under what's called the triple lock. For couples, that now means a weekly top-up of up to £363.25. For single pensioners, the threshold has risen to £238 a week. If your income falls below that line, pension credit is designed to bring you back up to it. But here's the part that should stop you in your tracks. This isn't paid automatically. Nobody rings your doorbell to tell you that you qualify. You have to know it exists, and you have to claim it yourself. But wait, it gets even more surprising than that. Research from independent benefits analysts has found that roughly £24 billion in benefits goes unclaimed across the UK every single year. Not misspent, not lost to fraud. Simply never claimed by people who were entitled to it all along. And pension credit sits right at the center of that figure, because so many pensioners assume, wrongly, that a small workplace pension, a modest amount of savings, or owning their own home automatically rules them out. Stay with me, because this next part changes everything about how you should be thinking about your own situation. Here's where things start to get serious. Savings do matter, but not in the way most people assume. If you have savings or investments above £10,000, the DWP doesn't simply disqualify you. Instead, for every £500 you hold above that threshold, they treat you as though you're earning an extra £1 a week in income. That means someone with £12,000 in savings is only treated as having an additional £4 a week counted against them. £4. Not the full amount sitting in the account. Many pensioners hear the word savings and simply assume the door is closed, and they walk away without ever checking. And this is what most people are not being told clearly enough. That assumption alone is costing households real money, every single week, month after month, year after year. And just when people think they understand this, they miss one key detail. Pension credit isn't just a small top-up sitting on its own. It's what's known as a gateway benefit. That single word, gateway, is doing a lot of quiet work behind the scenes. Because once you qualify for pension credit, it can unlock a whole chain of additional support that most people never connect back to it. Help with your council tax. A free TV license if you're 75 or over. Support with heating costs through the winter. For pensioners dealing with severe disability, there's even an additional amount of up to £86.05 a week layered on top for those receiving qualifying disability benefits like attendance allowance or the daily living component of PIP. Now, this could affect your future in ways you didn't expect, because losing out on pension credit doesn't just mean losing pension credit. It quietly closes doors to everything attached to it, without you ever realizing those doors existed in the first place. Now let's talk about why the timing of all this matters more than people think. This July, the energy price cap has risen again, up by around 13%, one of the sharpest increases in over 2 years, driven by pressures in global energy markets. At the exact same moment, the cost of living continues to climb across food, heating, and everyday essentials. The government has confirmed there is no further cost of living lump sum payment planned this year, unlike previous years when one-off payments were issued directly. That means the safety net people used to lean on in past winters isn't there in the same form this time. Which makes checking your actual entitlement right now, not next month, not after the weather turns colder, more important than it has been in years. But here's where things get even more serious. There's a rule inside the pension credit system that almost nobody talks about, and it's the reason delaying your claim can quietly cost you money you can never get back. Pension credit can only be backdated by up to 3 months. That means if you were eligible 6 months ago and you claim today, you don't receive 6 months of missed payments, you lose everything beyond that 3-month window, permanently. Every week you wait without checking is a week that simply disappears if it turns out you were entitled all along. This isn't designed to frighten you. It's designed to make one thing clear. The cost of not checking is not zero. It's real money, quietly slipping away in the background while life carries on. So, how does this actually work? And what should you do with everything you've just heard? It starts with one simple, practical step. Use an independent benefits calculator, the kind referenced by government-recognized organizations, to check your own eligibility, or check it on behalf of a parent, a grandparent, or a neighbor who might never think to look themselves. It takes a matter of minutes. You'll need a rough idea of your income, any savings you hold, and your housing costs. There's no cost to check, and checking commits you to nothing. If the calculator shows you're not eligible, you've lost nothing but a few minutes. But if it shows you are, you may have just uncovered support worth thousands of pounds a year, support that was legally yours the entire time, simply waiting to be claimed. And here's something worth sitting with for a moment. Couples where only one partner has reached state pension age face slightly different rules, and there are specific exceptions around housing benefit continuity for people who reached pension age before May of 2019. These small details are exactly the kind of thing that cause genuinely eligible people to assume, incorrectly, that the door is closed to them. This is precisely why so many people never even attempt to check. The rules feel complicated on the surface, so people quietly give up before they even start. And that hesitation is exactly what allows billions of pounds to go unclaimed year after year. But let's slow down for a second, because I want you to picture something. Somewhere right now, there's a pensioner sitting in their living room, the heating turned down slightly lower than they'd like, doing careful mental arithmetic about whether they can afford to put it up another degree tonight. They've worked their whole life, they've paid in for decades, and yet somewhere along the way, nobody sat them down and explained that a benefit with their name on it has been sitting there, unclaimed, quietly growing in value every time the rates get uprated. That's not a rare story. That's happening in houses on ordinary streets, in ordinary towns, right across the country, at this exact moment. And here's the uncomfortable truth behind it. The system was never built to chase you down and hand this to you. It was built so that you have to come and ask for it. Nobody is going to knock on the door. Stay with me, because this is exactly where most people switch off, thinking this doesn't apply to them, and that's the mistake. Let's go a little deeper into why so many people wrongly assume they don't qualify, because this is where the real damage happens. Some pensioners look at their small workplace pension and think, that's surely enough to disqualify me. Others look at the value of their home and assume that counts against them, when in most cases, the property you actually live in isn't counted as savings at all. Some assume that because they were turned down for a benefit years ago, under old rules, nothing has changed since, when in reality, thresholds shift every single year, and someone who didn't qualify 2 or 3 years ago may very well qualify now, especially after this year's triple lock increase pushed the qualifying income line higher than it's ever been. This is what most people are not being told. Eligibility isn't fixed. It isn't a label stamped on you once and left unchanged forever. It moves every single year. And if you last checked even 2 years ago, the answer today could be completely different. Now, here's where things get even more serious, because this next part affects more households than people realize. It's not only about the pensioner living alone. If you have a parent, a grandparent, an elderly neighbor, or someone you check in on, there's a strong chance they've never had this conversation with anyone. Many pensioners, especially those from a generation raised to be fiercely independent, feel a quiet sense of pride that stops them from asking for help, even help that is legally and rightfully theirs. They don't see it as a benefit they're claiming. They see it, incorrectly, as charity, as a handout, as something to be embarrassed about. And that mindset alone is one of the biggest reasons this money goes unclaimed year after year. But this isn't charity. This is money they already paid into the system for, through decades of tax and national insurance contributions. Claiming it isn't taking something extra. It's simply receiving what was always meant to reach them in the first place. But wait, there's another layer to this that almost nobody mentions, and it might be the most important part of this entire video. Because pension credit doesn't just open the door to council tax support, heating help, and a free TV license. For some pensioners, it can also affect eligibility for things like NHS-related costs and other means-tested support that quietly stacks on top of the main payment. Each one of these, on its own, might sound small. A discount here, a concession there. But when you add them together, month after month, they can genuinely transform what a pensioner's weekly budget looks like. This is the part where most people, if they only watch the first minute of a video like this, completely miss the bigger picture. It was never just about one payment. It was always about the whole chain of support attached to it. So let's bring this back to something practical, because understanding all of this only matters if you actually act on it. How does this work in real life, step by step? First, gather a rough picture of your weekly income, from your state pension, any private or workplace pension, and any other regular income you receive. Second, note down roughly how much you hold in savings or investments, remembering that your own home doesn't count toward this figure. Third, use a recognized independent benefits calculator, the kind referenced by government-linked and charitable organizations, to run those numbers through in a few minutes. You don't need to gather paperwork or make phone calls just to check. The calculator alone will give you an instant, honest picture of where you stand. And if it shows you may be eligible, the next step is simply making contact to start the actual claim, at which point that 3-month backdating window becomes critical, because every week you delay after finding out is a week you cannot get back. And just when people think they've heard everything there is to hear on this topic, they miss one final detail, and it might be the most important one of all. This isn't a one-time check you do and then forget about. Because rates change every single year, because personal circumstances change, a change in savings, a change in living arrangements, the loss of a partner. Checking your eligibility isn't something you do once in your lifetime. It's something worth revisiting every year, especially in a year like this one, where the increase has been larger than usual and where the gap between what people assume and what's actually true has quietly grown wider than ever. If you've made it this far, you now understand something that most people scrolling past this topic still don't. This isn't just information. It's money that may already belong to you, or to someone you love, sitting unclaimed while life carries on around it. Check your entitlement today. Don't let quiet pride or old assumptions cost you what you're rightfully owed, and don't wait for someone else to bring this up first. Stay aware, stay prepared, and subscribe, so you never miss the next update before it quietly passes you by.